Good day to all the beloved. You're with Jemima Samalo once again, and I'm glad to share with you what the Lord has placed in my heart. The theme for this year is your deepest joy, and we'll find out about what the Lord wants to tell us concerning joy as Christians in our life. Before we start to talk about joy, or what kills joy, or how to find joy, and many more, we will first have to understand joy. Have one agreement concerning what is joy or what could be joy. Let us read the book of John 16 verse 22, which is our main text for the theme. It says, "Therefore you now have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart will rejoice, and your joy no one will take it away from you." Glory be to God. The word says, "Therefore you now have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart will rejoice." We cannot know or understand the true meaning of joy without sorrow. Joy was going to be a feeling without a name, or just an expression or mood being confused with other feelings or expressions. Example, we know that light exists because darkness exists. We will be looking at what is joy. What is joy according to biblical terms? 1. Joy may come before or after sorrow, but joy does not depend on sorrow, a particular thing, or a person. The book of Philippians chapter 4 verse 4 says, "Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice." Joy is when we fully depend on God. Rejoice in the Lord always. Joy is when we fully depend on God, not on someone, or after we have conquered, or after anything. When we fully depend on God, those who totally rely on God, who leaves everything in the hands of God, see joy or know the true meaning of joy. When we rejoice in the Lord. Hallelujah. Second biblical truth: joy is being excited towards something or yourself. Joy is to be delighted or glad. We feel joy when our expectations are being met. The book of Psalm 122 verse 1 says, David said, "I was glad when they say, 'Let us go to the house of the Lord.'" David knew the source of his joy. David knew where his expectations were being met. Joy is when we find ourselves in the presence of the Lord continuously and always, and also when our expectations are being met in the Lord, not outside of the Lord, not through anything, not through anyone, but we find true joy, or we know the meaning of joy when our expectations are being met. David says, "Let us go to the house of the Lord." I was glad because he knew what he can expect in the presence of God. He knew what he can receive. So joy is when our expectations are being met in the presence of God. The Bible said that our expectations shall not be made short. When our expectations are being met. 3. Nehemiah 8 verse 10, it says, "For the joy of the Lord it is my strength." Joy is found when we align ourselves to the will of God. Joy is when we align ourselves according to the will of God. Those who follow the rules and regulations of God sees nothing but joy. When God is happy with your life, He begins to strengthen you wherever you have been weakened. We have seen so many characters in the Bible who have disobeyed God, and the result of when they disobeyed God was just sorrow, sadness. They were not happy anymore. The atmosphere changed. But we see that again, characters in the Bible, those who align themselves to the will of God, who followed the instruction of God, they lived a joyful life. Example, with Jonah, when God asked him to go to another place and he decided to disobey God to go to another place, he found himself 3 days in the stomach of a fish, and he was very unhappy where he was. He had to pray and to intercede for God to rescue him. So if you align yourself to the will of God, you will see nothing but joy. Those who align themselves according to the will of God, those who obey God, they know that joy is when we obey God. Joy is found in the obedience of God. If God says go left, you go left. If He says move right, you move right. If you follow the instruction of God, your life will be according to the will of God. You will not have anyone to blame, but except God. But which I know with God nothing can ever go wrong. You will see nothing else but joy. When we align ourselves according to the will of God, He begins to strengthen us because He is happy of what we are doing. It's like as if you are playing a football match and your team or your fans or your supporters, they are cheering you up because they like what you're doing. They're your fans. And the more they cheer you up, the more you have strength for you to continue to score goals or to make them happy. The same with God. It says the joy of the Lord, it is our strength. He strengthens us when we've been weakened. When we align ourselves to His rules and regulation, that's where we find or see joy. That's where joy is. Those who have been following God step by step, they know the true meaning of joy. You see nothing else but joy. Remain blessed.